This video highlights the multi-view command in AutoCAD for setting up a viewport in Paperspace. Although the multi-view command is the same for AutoCAD PC and AutoCAD Mac, the information demonstrated in this video is most relevant for AutoCAD Mac users. The graphic interface is slightly different for PC AutoCAD users and is therefore covered in a separate video. This video will highlight how to create a viewport on an architectural sheet size designation in Paperspace. Refer to a different video in this series for an explanation of industry standard sheet organization. Let's quickly review the concept of AutoCAD's work environments from a previous video entitled AutoCAD Work Environments Model Space Paperspace. AutoCAD has two primary work environments, Model Space and Paperspace. Each of these environments has a different purpose for drawing production. Model Space is where the drafting occurs. The Model Space environment can be accessed by the Model tab located at the bottom, left-hand corner of the drawing area. If you do not see the Model tab, the command line prompt for Model Space can be typed. Tile mode, all one word. Return Enter key on the keyboard. 1. Return Enter key on the keyboard. In Model Space, all objects are drafted to real-world size or 1:1 scale. Meaning, if you are specifying a 4 feet 0 diameter table in a space plan, then you will draft a 4 feet diameter circle to represent the table in Model Space. However, how does a 4 feet diameter circle fit on a standardized architectural D-size sheet? This is where the second AutoCAD work environment becomes relevant. Adjacent to the Model tab are the Paperspace tabs. By default, there is one Paperspace tab in each blank DWG file entitled Layout. The Layout tab can be renamed to anything by hovering over the tab and right-click with your mouse. Choose Rename from the mini menu of options. The plus sign in this area provides the ability to create additional Paperspace tabs. Each Paperspace tab corresponds to one sheet in an architectural set of drawings. If for some reason you do not see the Layout tab or some other Paperspace tab, at the command line type, Tile mode, all one word. Return Enter key on the keyboard. 0. Return Enter key on the keyboard. The Tile mode command will toggle you between the Model and Paperspace environments. Toggle on to a Paperspace tab. In this example, you can see that the default Layout tab has been renamed to D-size Layout. Here, the sheet size is set to an architectural D-size, which is 24 inches by 36 inches. Let's go to the Paperspace sheet setup to explain the standard basic settings for an architectural sheet. On a Mac, there are at least 3 different methods for setting up the drawing sheet. In method number 1, hover over the Paperspace tab and right-click with the mouse to see the mini menu of options. Choose Edit Page Setup from the options. The Page Sheet Setup dialog box will deploy. In method number 2, if you have the Page Setup Manager set up to automatically deploy as a setting in Options, then you will see this automated process for setting up the basic sheet size and the viewport will already be somewhat set up. In method number 3, pick on a Paperspace tab. Then, go to the File pull-down menu to print. From the File pull-down menu you can choose Page Setup, or you can go directly to the Print dialog option. Both commands from this pull-down menu will give you the option to set up the sheet in Paperspace. Whichever way you get to the Page Setup dialog box, you are now in a position to create the basic architectural sheet set up with a viewport to the Model Space drawing. Set up a PDF printer type first. The printer narrows down your choices of paper sizes. Even if you intend to print the drawing on a large format plotter, for now, selecting a PDF printer among the options is a good universally generic choice that will not preclude any future printable options. Next, choose the sheet size. In this case, I've selected the architectural D-size sheet. Under the category of What to Print, select Layout from the pull-down menu arrow. The scale designation should always be 1:1 or full size. The plot style should have a pen assignment of monochrome.ctb. Make sure that Print Object Line Weights is checked. Choose Apply to Layout. We are not ready to print yet, but the sheet settings have now been defined. By choosing the button Apply to Layout, we have now just defined the page setup. If you do not have a viewport on the sheet, employ the Multi-View command to create the viewport window. At the command line, type MV, return key on the keyboard. Look at the command line of options in the square brackets. The default is set to fit. If you pick the return key here, then a viewport will fit the entire printable area. Another option is to define the area that you wish the viewport to occupy on the sheet by picking 2 points to create a rectangle. This is the most used option when setting up a standard, single-view sheet of a drawing in AutoCAD. Specialty viewport settings for atypical sheet types are covered in a separate video. Notice that when I define the viewport window, instead of the default choice that fits the viewport to the sheet, I've managed to leave some space below the viewport to add a title bar to describe the drawing type, and space on the right-hand side of the sheet for the title block placement. In most architectural firms, the title block and title bar will already be set up by the CAD manager that oversees the digital production process. Setting up title bars and title blocks, and the difference between the two of these, is covered in a separate video. However, this is how the final sheet might appear with both of title bar and title block elements with the viewport included on the sheet layout. One important last setting is that the viewport window should be placed on a non-plotting layer, such as the Def Points layer. To bring up the Layer Property Manager, go to the Format pull-down menu to Layers. You can also type at the command line, Layer, return key. To change the viewport layer to a non-plotting layer, pick on the viewport line, and then reassign the line from the current layer, in this case layer 0, to the Def Points layer through the Layer Panel pull-down menu. While the viewport is still selected, locate the Architectural Scale menu, located in the bottom right-hand corner below the paper space screen. From the list of architectural scale options, pick a designated scale for that drawing type, or a scale from this list that fits in the viewport for the defined sheet size. It is important to scale the drawing sheet through the viewport, and not through the plot or page setup settings. Pick on the Escape, ESC key on the keyboard to deselect the viewport. Once you have the sheet set up, create a plot preview to check the settings. This is how the final preview of the virtual PDF print will appear if you've set up the sheet successfully, with the viewport layer assigned to a non-plotting layer, such as Def Points. This is how the final preview of the virtual PDF print will appear if you've set up the sheet successfully, but with the viewport layer not assigned to a non-plotting layer, such as Def Points. Notice that the viewport line is apparent on the sheet. There are some sheet styles, such as detail sheets, where it is permissible to show viewport lines. However, in most instances, the visible viewport lines are not consistent to industry-standard graphics. The final plotted view should not show the viewport line because it is not part of the actual drawing, and could be mistaken as part of the drawing. To recap this lesson, there are 2 work environments in AutoCAD: Model Space and Paper Space. Each of these drawing environments serves a different purpose. This video focused on setting up a D-size architectural sheet in Paper Space. 3 methods of how to gain access to the Page Setup Manager were demonstrated. Number 1. Right-click on a Paper Space tab and choose Edit Page Setup. Number 2. In the Options settings of the program, assign the Page Setup Manager to automatically populate each new sheet created through the plus sign, located in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Number 3. Go to the File pull-down menu to Page Setup. Another option is to go to File pull-down menu to the Print command and apply the setup options to the layout.